For you today on this Tuesday, January 19th, 2021. The time is 4:30. And if everybody will please rise for the invocation, I call this meeting to order. Ms. Bowen, will you do the invocation?
Yes, ma'am.
And pledge Mr. Burke?
Yes, ma'am.
Please rise.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today to thank you for the blessings that you have provided and the blessings to come. We ask that you continue to watch over this council and this community, Lord. Keep us safe, keep us healthy, and lead us in the right direction. Lead us in the direction of goodness and purity and unity always. In your holy, precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, citizen comments and public announcements. And it does look like we have a few citizen comments. If y'all just listen for just a bit. Any citizen who has a request for city services or other items of concern which cannot be approved or otherwise resolved by the city manager may choose to address the council. Citizens who wish to address the city council about items on the agenda will have 3 minutes to express their position. Agenda item number, please indicate the agenda item number on which you wish to comment. All presentations and discussions should be directed to the city council and all questions to the mayor. Any complaints and/or discussion about individuals, personnel, council members, city staff, or other persons would be out of order and will not be heard by the city council at this time. Charges or complaints about specific individuals shall be presented in writing to the city manager. All complaints of this nature must be signed and dated by the individual filing the complaint and will be addressed pursuant to Alice personnel policies. Please approach the speaker's stand, state your full name and address when you begin your remarks, so the official minutes will record your appearance before the city council. If you have written notes you wish to present to the mayor and council, please furnish an extra copy to the city clerk for official files. Please, again, direct your comments to the mayor and council. Although council cannot take specific action on citizens' comments, topics due to legal requirements, they will hear the topic, and council may have the item placed on a future agenda for action, or refer the item to a board, commission, or committee, or refer the item to staff for study or conclusion. Thank you so much for your cooperation. At this time, if Ms. Connie Flores will come to the stand, and please state your name for the record. Name and address for the record, please. Hi.
Hello, Connie Flores, 1620 Olmos, Alice, Texas. And I'm here with I want you to vote yes on 466877, which is replotting of 1800 Helen. My son is going to build me a house there. And the purpose of him buying that property was so he could build me a house next door to the one that's already there. So I would appreciate your vote yes, and go Coyotes. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Connie. Mr. Roy Rodriguez?
Hi, Council and Mayor. I'm here to ask you to vote as well in favor of Agenda Item 15 for the replat of 1800 Helen. The replat will not cause any difficulty to the city. It will not cause the taxes to go up as we're complained about. There's no evidence that that will happen. And there are 5 lots on the north side and only 4 on the south side. I'm sorry, 5 houses on the north side of Helen, 4 on the south side, and we just want to add a 5th for Miss Connie Flores. So please, I ask that y'all vote in favor of the recommendation to replat. That's all I've got. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Mr. Henry Perez?
Hi everybody, how you doing? I'm Henry Perez with Flores Properties.
We're in favor of the agenda item 15. So hopefully y'all could vote yes. I went out there actually today and measured some lots, and the lot, a couple, I can't say the name, but there's some lots exactly the same size of the lot we want to do the actual replot. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. And Mr. Jaime Flores?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jaime Flores. I reside at 1624 Morningside Drive. I'm here to ask for your vote in approving the replat of 1800 Helen. When I originally purchased that property, it was always intended to be replatted as it's actually 2.5 lots. The previous owner had actually advised me on the replat, and so once I completed the renovations on 1800 Helen, which if any of you have driven by that, you can see the complete transformation that it's made, for the better, at least I think. And so the plan was always to sell that and then to retain the lot, as there's not very many lots left in the Hillcrest area. Currently, I own between 9 and 10 properties in the Hillcrest area, which I have brought up the property value of all those homes. I've never diminished the property value of any of the homes in those areas. And my plan is to continue to build in the city of Alice, so allowing me to build this home that will be very similar to my home on 1624 Morningside, just a smaller scale in that lot, should be allowed. Now, the lots behind 1800 Helen are the exact same size as the dimensions that I'm proposing to replat this into, which is 1801 Walker. And then I don't know Nate Timmons' address, but they're the exact same size. So the replat lot that's in question here is actually 2 feet larger than all of the rest of the lots on the entire street. And let me correct that. The proposed replat lot is the same size, if not 2 feet larger, than the citizens that are protesting the replat. And their primary reason for voting against the replat was an increase in taxes. Now, I can't say that their taxes are going to increase or decrease, but I can say that their property values will probably go up because there'll be a brand new beautiful home in that area. Another one of their concerns was that the neighborhood hasn't been built upon or done anything with in the past 40 years, and to me that's a problem. If nothing's been built in that area in 40 years, why not? Why hasn't there been any construction or whatever, anything built for 40 years in a neighborhood? So what I'm trying to do for the city of Alice is generate more tax revenue for you guys to be able to collect and to help stimulate the economy. By doing so and building this home, I'll be employing people that live here in Alice and stimulating the economy, and therefore stimulating more tax revenue and tax base for the city of Alice. If they choose to make improvements to their own homes and add square footage and do repairs or whatever, then that would then affect directly their tax base. But as for me building, it shouldn't. The second item is that they said that I wouldn't follow the guidelines and restrictions and ordinances, and there was somebody said something about that I was going to build a barn there. That's totally ludicrous, and I can't believe that I'm even responding to that, but obviously I'm not going to build a barn there. Obviously there are city ordinances and deed restrictions that I must follow, and I will comply with them, as I have always complied with them within the city of Alice limits, according to building codes and specifications and things like that. So that would be a non-issue also. I'm very surprised that Planning and Zoning denied this. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the meeting because of a miscommunication the day that it was scheduled. They canceled it an hour before the meeting, so I wasn't able to get to speed to get to the next meeting, and my apologies for not being able to make that, and that's what made me stand here today. I don't know where I'm at on my minutes. Is there a timer or something? Am I over? Am I done?
Yeah.
Did I hit 3 minutes, or can I keep going? Because I got a lot more to say.
It's at the discretion of the mayor, Mr. Flores.
We've already hit the 3 minutes, Jaime.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, citizens. Public announcements, Mr. Burke,
No, ma'am.
Mr. Crisp,
None at this time, ma'am.
Mr. Molina,
No, ma'am.
Ms. Bowen.
I have one. I'd like to personally thank the new Alice Hub City Chamber of Commerce for hosting a 2-day retreat that I was honored to attend on behalf of the council. You know, I was there, and I am real excited about it. They have great ideas, and I think they're going to be great for our community. It was a long 2 days, but we got a lot done, which is, you know, progress is great. So I just wanted to bring that awareness and just, you know, thank them personally for all their, everything they're trying to do for our community. So I'm looking forward to much success with them, for our community. So, thank you, Mayor.
Very good, thank you, ma'am. And thank you to the new chamber, and best wishes on progress and greatness. And I would just like to remind people, we're still in a pandemic. I know I sound like a broken record. Please practice safety precautions. I know there's frustrations with vaccines. Please be patient. That does come from the county level. And I know Mr. Patrick Thomas, our emergency management coordinator, is working extremely hard, and he will touch on it, I believe, at a later agenda item. But I just wanted you guys to know that we're doing everything we can at the city level to make sure that we do get vaccines, and we have received vaccines. Sadly, I will say it, the transparency on communication coming from other entities is not good. So forgive us as a city and everybody up here. It's not due to anything that we have not done. It's beyond our control, sadly. And I apologize for the people that are hoarding or not putting it out there. It's bad to do that, because if they do that, we don't get any. So hopefully this next go-round will be a great go-round, and we could get more vaccines quickly. Yes, and we do have the drive-through coming from KCOST, Community Action, that's been shared on Facebook. And if you want more information, sadly, we don't have information to give you other than call the hospital. In this case, KCOST, which is Community Action. Thursday and Friday, there'll be a vaccine drive, hopefully. And like I said, I'm not going to say anything about it because Mr. Thomas has been the one taking care of all of that and doing a fabulous job in helping coordinate and helping with traffic. But that's pretty much all we can do at this level. Okay, agenda item 3, presentation of 2 life-saving awards for offices with the Alice Police Department. These fine people will come up, fine gentlemen. I'm just going to read a little synopsis for you guys to understand the bravery of these gentlemen standing up here. On Thursday, November 19th, 2020, Alice police officers Cristobal Gonzalez and Zachary Jaramillo responded to a call on Pierce Street in reference to a possible deceased child at the location. Upon arrival, officers found a large distraught crowd outside of the residence, indicating to officers that help was needed inside. Upon entry into the residence, officers Jaramillo and Gonzalez observed a woman, later identified as Zelika Salinas, performing CPR on an unresponsive, not breathing female child with serious burns to the side of her face. Officers quickly requested that Ms. Salinas allow them to take over to treat the child. Realizing that the child's airway appeared to be blocked, the officers immediately applied several backside compressions and cleared her airway with a finger sweep. The child became responsive shortly after continuation of chest compressions, but remained unconscious. Officers Gonzalez and Jaramillo's quick assessment that the child needed first aid in addition to further CPR allowed her to likely survive the accident till more advanced medical treatment was available. After reviewing the incident reports and recommendation from Corporal Alberto Stout, the command staff determined that their actions at the scene justifies the awarding of the Departmental Life-Saving Award. Congratulations, gentlemen. We've got some. We've got some life-saving awards. Great job, gentlemen. Great job. involved with on a daily basis is exceptionally brave and with much honor. I thank you both. Mr. I don't have my glasses. Here's Mr. Hutton. Sorry, guys. Mr. Gonzalez. Thank y'all so much. Big hugs. I want to turn around for the picture.
If I could also
Absolutely.
mention, we started a new program, which was hard, it's been harder than it should have been to get these, but we are going to start issuing bars denoting certain achievements within the department. And these two will be, get the first. Here's Chris. Here's Zach. I might also add that I've never seen this happen before, but this is Chris's second life-saving award.
Wow.
And his bar, when we get them, we'll put a star on it. That will denote the award of a second time for that award.
That's wonderful. That is very good. Thank you guys for the job that you do. Would y'all like to stand? Are you going to stand? Council.
Council. Very much.
We could say cheese, but cheese or ice.
Smile with your eyes.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you guys very much. All right. So again, Chief, agenda item number 4, information from City Manager, Police Chief, search updates.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr.
Wanted to
Esposito.
give you guys a quick update on where we are on that. As you know, we, back in November, you guys authorized us to retain the services of SGR for a police chief search. They're a nationwide company who specialize in searching for city managers, police chiefs, and people of that sort. They have an extensive email database, and that position got, the brochure and the job got finalized, and the job description got finalized in December. It was open for 30 days. On January the 13th, it closed. There are 22 applicants. And with your guys' help, we got a blue ribbon panel. And each one of y'all, as you know, submitted a name. And we have that panel ready. They've been meeting, or they've gone back and forth emails with Mr. Price Robinson, the person that is leading the search for us through at SGR. And so tomorrow we have a Zoom meeting with the blue ribbon panel, myself and Price. And we'll be going through, SGR has already divided the 22 candidates between an A, B, and a C. C wouldn't meet the minimum requirements, but A and Bs are based on their resume and cover letter. And so the panel and myself are going to go through that and SGR tomorrow, try to weed that down to maybe a number of about 9. And then from there'll be some interviews set up that the panel will be involved with. And hopefully by the end of this month, it'll come down to have some finalists for you guys to consider. And so that process is well underway. It's working pretty nice. Zoom is very handy for us. And so that really the brunt of it starts tomorrow with that first Zoom meeting.
That's great.
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
That's awesome. Agenda item 5, discussion regarding COVID-19, including vaccine distribution information.
Mayor, Patrick is still, we may push this for a little bit further
Okay.
down the agenda. He's still in that vaccine distribution
Okay,
meeting.
okay.
That started at 4 o'clock, so he's
Right.
going to make his way up in a little bit.
Okay, perfect. So we'll come back to agenda item 5. Agenda item 6, presentation and discussion from Bill Norris with Norris Leal regarding Texas Water Development Phase 1 and Phase 2, including P3 updates on water project. Hello, Mr. Norris.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Hopefully 2021 will bring a lot of better things. Just want to give you a brief update. My name is Bill Norris with Norris Layout. I've got a handout here, and I think we should have a picture
Thank you, ma'am.
up on of the well. But if not, the pictures are attached to this brief report. So we are right on schedule with the completion of the first well, the Brackish well. It's completed. We just started. Well, here's where they were drilling the well. You can see it's quite an operation to actually drill the well. The next one is actually taken today. We can go to the next slide. So we're pumping 1,000 gallons a minute. It's just the start of a two-phase pumping test. So tomorrow we'll be pumping 16,000 gallons a minute and for 36 hours. And so we allow that to actually draw, to recover, and then we'll do it again. So by Thursday, we'll be taking our final samples. And so the contractor was required to finish by the end of the month, and he pretty much is on schedule for that. In spite of all the things that, the challenges that we've had over the last several months. So I certainly am glad that you selected that contractor, because I have a project that's a well in Houston that's taken them 4 years to do, so about the same depth. So it makes a big difference. So this is a major step in the continuation of the total project, the desalination plant. But we still have a ways to go. And so one of the things that the city has chosen to do is kind of a dual funding type of project. So the Water Development Board is expected to fund the second well at the lower interest cost and loan forgiveness, basically a grant, and then low interest. And then the desalination plant is a P3, a public-private partnership that is under negotiation. So we had a call last week with the Texas Water Development Board, and they said, we've never done this before. I said, well, neither has anybody else. So welcome. And so it's going to be, might be a challenge to work, to dual track this, because when you deal with public funds or federal funds, they walk at a slower pace. And then you've got a P3 project that wants to walk at a rapid pace. And so it will stand to figure out how we can make that happen. And so on this schedule, so we've got pending items on phase one. We've got to do the final engineering report based on the well, the water quality, and the feasibility, but we have to dot the I's, cross the T's for the Water Development Board. But the longest lead time is getting environmental approval, minimum 6 months. So what that means is, if you can see down on the if you see environmental EID, it shows to be, September of 2021. But I think since we've got water, we're probably ready to go with a P3 on they can actually start the construction. But will the Water Development Board let us co-mingle the time, not the money, but co-mingle the observations? So that's one of the things that we'll have to work on in the next couple of weeks. And so if that's the case, if they allow us to start earlier, all that in orange is phase two. We could possibly move that over and hopefully have water by mid-2022 as opposed to the end or even later, depending on how the Water Development Board treats us with that scenario. So that's kind of where we stand. We're on schedule on the well. We don't necessarily have a total schedule for the combined project because we don't know what the answers are from the Water Development Board in what they're going to require us to do, or whether they let us go forward with the P3 or not. But that's to be determined. And hopefully the next meeting that we'll have all good news and we can start everything. But we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, council, any questions? Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Crisp?
None at this time, ma'am.
Mr. Molina?
No, thank you.
Ms. Bowen?
Just thank you for all
Thank
you
you.
do.
Thank you.
You bet.
Happy to see
Thank you,
we're ahead of
Mr.
schedule.
Norris. All right, agenda item 7, Discuss, consider, and act upon adopting a resolution in support of the proposed fish pond at Alice Development located at approximately 300 and 320 East 3rd Street, Alice, Texas, through the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, pre-application number 21290.
Did Mr. Fournier
Fish
show up?
pond.
Was he here?
I don't know what he looks like. Oh, there he is.
There he is. David, come on in.
David?
David Fournier with Fish Pond Development.
Hi, how are you?
All right, go ahead.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can I take this up?
Absolutely, there's a cover there.
Yeah, we're good.
Hi, my name's Dave Fournier. I'm with Fish Pond Development, and you need address 9702 Angel Wild Drive, Austin, Texas. We're a developer of senior affordable housing. We've got several projects that we've completed and that we're happy to show you around. We've completed one in city of Portland, a 60-unit senior development. We've completed one in the city of Cuero, which is a 48-unit senior development. The picture that is shown on the cover is a rendering of a property that we're currently under construction in Corpus Christi. This is a 112-unit senior property. We actually purchased a property in downtown Corpus Christi, and we're building a new property for those residents, and we're going to relocate everybody. But we wanted to include, it's premature for us to have plans for what we have proposed on the site of the old hospital. But it will be a multi-story building, and so I wanted to give you an idea of what the quality of what we put together. We have applied through the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs in what's called the pre-application process for development of up to 80 units on the site of the former hospital. The intent is to demolish the existing structure and build up potentially four stories, maybe 5 stories, depending on what density we're able to get. We did look at, I know it was previously considered for doing a rehab. We brought our contractor through there, and his determination was that the existing structure, the layout would render it to basically, 7.5-foot ceilings, and it wasn't worth keeping the structure. So the plan is, and I know it's just under an acre. So we've applied for, and we seem to have scored very well in the preliminary scoring for TDHCA. We've actually already received support from the state representative. He actually supported our Portland property, and he's seen it, and I think he's happy with the quality of what we produce. And so we asked today for a resolution of support from the city, which is required as part of the next stage going through with TDHCA. And because it's seniors, we don't have the issue that came up before with the school system, et cetera. And we think it would be a great project for the city.
Now, also bear in mind, so the last time that this was talked about, there was another company doing this, and they were also trying to get tax credits through the Texas Historical Commission. So there was an additional hoops they had to go through. But Mr. Fournier is specifically looking at only the TDHCA to get their grants and things that they're going to get from them and approval. And yeah, that project was scored very well also because of what it was doing, but they missed a few things, and so that's why it didn't pass. I think their application was some things that they didn't put on their application. So this project now, I mean, it died back then. Mr. Fournier was initially looking at a different location in town on Texas Boulevard that time.
Correct.
And so now this one's available again. So looks like a pretty good project for the city, tearing down that eyesore that we've been talking about for a long time. And hopefully this will work for us, and hopefully it'll go through.
Okay. Ms. Bowen, any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Molina?
I'm here, thank you.
So, Mr. Fournier, it's basically going to be demolished, right?
Correct.
Ground up. Okay, because before it was different, right? Okay,
Yeah.
that's it. Thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. Chris?
So you're saying that this is a affordable housing based primarily for seniors?
Primarily for seniors.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And the incomes will be, and the rents will vary. The incomes will be targeting incomes between, some at 30% of the median income, which will be very low rents, some at 50% and some at 60%.
Okay, very good. You're looking, you said between 70 and 80 units, something like that?
Somewhere in that range, right? Our architect's actually working on it right now. Usually, the process works, we put in our pre-application what would be the maximum, and then the architect will, once we release them, once we know how well we've scored in the preliminary round, we release the architect. And so I've already had him start working on what he thinks we can get from a density standpoint. We would be back in. At this point, we're just asking for your support for the development, but we will have to come back in and ask for possibly maybe a PUD zoning, because we'll need some variances to get the density that we're looking to get on the site.
And speaking of that density and the idea of the crowding that area with possibly vehicles and everything, when y'all build y'all's developments, y'all have a bottom floor parking, correct? So it's basically built above that, because when you put that many people in one area, their vehicles have to go somewhere. So the idea is something along those lines?
Well, that's what we're doing. That's actually one of the things we're looking at right now. So not to get into the details of how TDHCA allows you to include what's basis. If we do what we did in Corpus Christi, which is a podium construction with parking underneath, that structured parking cannot be included in basis, and sometimes it becomes financially infeasible. So we may be better off going up one more story and then lowering the footprint, and then we
gotcha.
can get parking.
Okay.
So in
Just-
our experience, I mean, we've got, like what we're doing in Corpus Christi, that is 112 units, and we're providing 75 parking spaces, which, based on our current property, is twice of what is currently being used. And we're thinking that the central location would allow people to not be as reliant on cars.
How many parking spaces, you say?
Well, in Corpus Christi, we have 75 parking spaces for 112 units.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Sounds
So
about
less than one per unit.
Thank you.
So our thought would be something along those lines, maybe one to less than one per unit.
Right.
Just worry about crowding that.
Which is normal
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
senior living.
It is.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, Mr.
That was
Burke?
it, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, just my initial concern or question was also about the restructuring rather than restructuring it, and you're saying it's going to be demolished. And
It would be
start
demolished, correct.
Okay. The other question, the tenants, will they have to qualify for any sort of government subsidy in order to live there, or, a program, or could an individual like private pay? How's that going to?
Good question. So no, they do not. It is not you do not need a voucher or
Okay.
some sort of HUD subsidy. So basically, it's a development subsidy,
Gotcha.
and so they help finance the development costs, which allows us to charge lower rents.
Good.
And so that's usually what we have. Like at our other properties in Cuervo and Portland, maybe we have 10% of the units that have vouchers. Now we do take vouchers.
Yeah,
But it's not
but it's
required.
not okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And when you say primarily senior, what's your primarily spectrum?
So the restriction says 55 and older
Okay.
has to live there. In reality, we find at our properties, it's probably more like 75 and, 70 and older
Okay.
that live there. So there'll be a regulatory agreement that runs with the land that says that it needs to be, you need to rent it to people that are 55 and older.
Okay, so we wouldn't be risking housing 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds?
No.
Okay. Because I am against that, but love the senior
no,
idea.
so that's, we actually, we had the same, the city of Portland had the same concern.
Okay.
And we don't, that's not what we do. We
Okay.
don't want to run into that problem.
Right,
So
right.
we can, there are some, I mean, it's somewhat, you can be more strict or less strict, but we tend to be more strict in our properties.
Very good. And when you say who would be in charge of handling that kind of paperwork or admitting and things like that?
So we'll have a management company. Right now, we use a company called Alpha Barnes. They're located throughout the state. They manage our properties in Cuero and Portland.
Okay.
And they are in charge of what's called qualifying all the residents to make sure that they meet. We're the ones that are at risk. If we rent it to somebody who's not qualified,
Right.
the IRS comes after us. So we're
Right.
very,
Very good.
we're very
Alpha Barnes
focused
is
on
out
it.
of where? I'm sorry.
Alpha Barnes.
Is out of where?
They're based out of Dallas,
Okay.
but they manage properties. I believe they have a property in George West. That they're throughout Texas.
Okay.
I think they manage like 15,000 units.
Okay. And your company is different than the previous company or the same company?
Different than the previous company.
Okay, completely different.
We're based out of Austin, and I think they were out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, or somewhere. Somewhere. Yeah, there was question on that when the research was done. Okay, very good. That
Mayor, I have a
sounds-
question.
Yes, ma'am.
If I may. Is this considered an independent living or an assisted living?
There are no services.
Okay.
What we do, though, is we have on our own, we provide social services.
Okay.
So at our other properties, they partner with, they'll bring in, like in Cuero, they've got Cuero Skilled Nursing Facility, and they come in and oh gosh, I'm so sorry about that.
Okay.
Turned off my phone, didn't turn off my watch. They come in and they do some exercise with the residents. That's something that's required by the state.
Right.
In order to score, you have to provide social services, and we do that.
That's what I thought. Okay.
But there's no, that we can't provide any medical services. We can't provide
Correct.
any,
Okay.
Right.
anything that looks like an assisted living. It's just basically apartments.
There you go.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Yes, ma'am. Okay, any other questions, council, at this time? No? All right. Then I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion adopting a resolution in support of the proposed fish pond at Alice Development located at approximately 300 and 320 East 3rd Street, Alice, Texas, through the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs.
Second.
Okay?
Pre-application number 21290. Sorry.
Bill second.
Seconded by Mr. Crisp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you so much. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Best wishes.
Thank you. Put this back on.
Thank you. Agenda item 8, discuss, consider, and act upon approval of city council minutes for the December 15th, 2020 meeting. And council, I'll entertain a motion to approve whenever you guys are ready.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented for December
Second.
15, 2020.
Okay?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion stands as stated. Thank you. Agenda item number 9, presentation by David Craig with Performance Services on water meter project update.
Mayor, we've been working on this, Mayor and Council, this project for a while, and the meter replacement is what we're working on with Performance Services. So I think y'all have met Boo before. We also had David Craig that's going to give an update on where we are.
Good evening. How are y'all?
Hi, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
I'm David with Performance Services. Just here this evening just to give an update on the project, where we're standing now, where we're looking at for the next couple of weeks. As I say, last week, we started changing out the large and intermediate size meters. That's 17 meters total. There's 8 on an assist list right now, so 11 are complete. The assist list is whenever we have an issue and we got to talk with the city guys to help us out with the concrete issue, or we can't find something, or there's a dog guarding the meter, so sometimes that's an issue. Endpoints are on site. We got about half of the order in right now, which is the communication portion. It's the antenna, the part that talks to the computers. Got confirmation today that we've got the residential meters, a pretty large order supposed to ship out Friday this week. So once we get confirmation of that, we will work with our labor provider, get him scheduled hopefully in the next 2 weeks. So hopefully here pretty shortly, we're going to start seeing some activity on the residential side. And at the last meeting that we had, we were going to start on the north side, changing out those meters. Tomorrow, I've got a progress meeting with the city and with the utility folks. If that changes or not, we'll find out at that time. That's all my notes.
Any questions? Ms. Bowen?
No,
Okay.
not right now. Thank you.
Mr. Molina?
No questions.
Mr. Crisp?
None at this time.
Mr. Burke? No? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have a good evening.
See you.
too.
Good night.
Good evening.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 10, discuss, consider, and act upon a contract for election services between the Elections Administrator's Office of Jim Mills County and the City of Alice.
Mayor and council, I think, did Odie get a final contract? Do you know, Nellie?
Let me go get her.
Okay, we were waiting on numbers.
Okay.
From the county, and so I don't know whether she ended up getting the email. If she didn't, we can still table that contract. You know, in the next item, we'll order the election. Kind of go hand in hand, but that one can wait if we don't have those numbers as far as the contract. Let me see if she ended up getting it in.
There she is. Odie. Nellie, she's up here, if you can hear me.
Did you get numbers on the contract from the elections
Yeah, we
office?
don't
Not
have
yet?
them ready.
Okay, so we can table that item.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Council,
Motion to table, agenda item 10.
Second.
seconded by Mr. Crisp and Ms. Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Agenda item 10 is tabled. Agenda item 11, discuss, consider, and act upon order of general election for May 1st, 2021 for the election of a mayor and 4 council members, place 1, place 2, place 3, and place 4. Posting notice of election on bulletin board and order designating election precincts and polling places.
To Mayor and Council, this is simply the order of the election that needs to be done, so we can have an election as scheduled and as called for by the charter.
Okay? So, council, any questions, Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Mr. Molina?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Burke?
No question.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion to order of the general election for May 1st, 2021, for the election of mayor and 4 council members being place 1, place 2, place 3, and place 4, posting notice, election on bulletin board, and order designating election precincts and polling places.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Molina. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion stands as stated. Thank you. Agenda item 12, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing tax refund on an application for tax refund submitted by Angela Dawn Hernandez for tax year 2020 on account number 12493-005-000-00, Santa Rosa Addition, Lot 4, 0000.8144.
And Mayor, this is an application, it was a disabled veteran application, and so since the tax rolls had already been finalized, they have to apply for a tax refund, and it's approved by the taxing appraisal district, and now they're asking it to come before each taxing entity. The amount of refund that's coming from the city of Alice would be $575.45.
Okay. Council, any questions? Mr. Molina?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
Mr.
No, ma'am.
Burke? Okay, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, make a motion authorizing tax refund on an application for the tax refund submitted by Angela Don Hernandez for tax year 2020 on account number 12493-005-000-00 Santa Rosa Edition Lot 4, 0000.8144.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion stands as stated. Agenda item 13, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution on an offer to purchase tax sale property described as Lot 1, Block 4, Timber Lane Addition, an addition to Jimels County, Texas, as described in Volume 1149, page 129, Official Records of Jimels County, Texas.
And this property was a tax foreclosure that came back, and this property was put up for sale by Lombarger, Gauguin, Blair, and Sampson. They did get an offer of $26,000 for this property, and the net to the city of Alice for here will be $4,003.41. And
Okay,
so it's a
Couns-
sale.
Council, any questions? Mr. Burke?
No question.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Molina?
Nope.
And Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution on an offer to purchase tax sale property described as Lot 1, Block 4, Timberlane Addition, in addition to Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in Volume 1149, page 129, Official Records of Jim Wells County, Texas.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Crisp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Thank you. Agenda item 14, discuss, consider, and act upon entering into a contract with Easy Go for the lease and/or purchase of golf carts for the Alice Municipal Golf Course, and authorizing city manager to negotiate and sign all documents.
Mayor and Council, we've been trying to work on this for a while. I'm going to ask that it be tabled. We're still working on some financing options on these, and the lease is going to go month to month anyway, and there's at least a 6-month delay on any carts coming in, so we just need a little bit more time to finalize this. So I ask that this item be tabled.
Okay, council, motion to table.
Motion to table, item 14.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Okay, agenda item 14 tabled. Agenda item 15, conduct a public hearing to discuss, consider, and act upon accepting the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation for the final replat of Hillcrest Edition Number 5, Lot 37R and Lot 38R, Block 17, being lots 3738 and the west half of Lot 39, Block 17, Hillcrest Edition Number 5, recorded in Volume 6, Page 6 of the map records of Jimels County, Texas, also being a tract of land conveyed to Jaime Flores by deed recorded under document number 466877 of the official public records of Jimels County, Texas.
Patrick's on his way down, Michael.
Okay. And we're going to start the public hearing. The time is 5:18. Anybody wishing to speak for or against or information on agenda item 15, please come forward.
Come forward if you
You can come forward, Mr. Flores.
I'm sorry. Jaime Flores again. 1624 Morningside. I'm not familiar with this process at all. So I guess I'm standing here again, appealing to you guys to vote in favor of the replat. I've given you my reasons earlier. I know that there's a second thing that we had discussed possibly doing that might, I don't know what to say. Thank you guys.
You're good.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak on agenda item 15, please come forward at this time. Anyone for or against at this time? Okay, the time is 5:20. This public hearing is now closed. Council, any questions at this time? Mr. Patrick is not here yet. Oh, there he comes. Mr. Thomas.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay, you're a busy man.
Okay, which agenda item am I?
We are on 15, Hillcrest Edition.
Okay. Have you opened the public hearing, or is there? a
We
need for public
opened it and closed it.
Okay, perfect. The recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission was to deny the plat, the replat. A copy of the rough draft minutes are in your packet, so you can see what was their reasoning. There were 4 responses that were against the replat, and there were 2 other inquiries that were just simple inquiries. They weren't for or against it. And that's what I have. You have any questions?
Okay, Ms. Bowen, any questions?
I don't really have any questions, more like a statement. Is that okay? I mean, I know that the P and Z meet, what is it, once a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I think they're a great board, I mean, to volunteer their time to you know, the city's efforts. And I think that the knowledge they have, you know, from they've been there a while, a lot of them and all that, and I respect them all. But we received this packet Friday evening, and Monday I couldn't call and make any inquiries or questions on it because of the holiday. So I just feel I don't have enough time to really put myself deep in this. But with my background in engineering and surveying and what I do for a living, what I saw in this packet so far, I really don't see a reason that we can't replat it, you know, with the size and everything that's, you know, I'm sure they looked at all that.
Yes, they did look at it all, and I'd have to defer to the city attorney, but I don't think that you have to go with the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Right.
That is completely up to you. I think the purpose of having 2 different, I guess, 2 different
Opinion,
layers of
And you're
looking
correct,
at
sir.
this,
This is the final
that may
say.
be the reason why sometimes things are missed. But again, the legalities on that, I'm going to refer that to the city attorney, but
Okay.
yes.
Okay, well, I was just, you know, I just think we need a little bit more time to look at this.
Okay.
I really do, so.
Okay. Mr. Molina?
What was staff's recommendation to the?
Our
planning and zoning?
original recommendation was to approve. We didn't have any reason to not approve. There wasn't a limit on the lot size or
Right.
sometimes we'll have concerns with the, you know, how big the lot will be because of what needs to be built on there. There may not be enough room to be able to build something with the setbacks. But in this particular case, there really wasn't any reason for us to say not to approve it. So that was our original recommendation. Of course, we take that to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then Planning and Zoning Commission reports it to you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, because I can't see why anybody would buy a lot just to have the lot,
Right.
you know. Yeah, I'm going to be indifferent on this one, and I'm going to side with what the staff is recommending, you know. If everybody's ready. If not, well, that's fine, you know, we can. But I do, I can relate to what Sandra was saying. This just kind of landed on our lap, you know, Saturday morning or whatever, Friday night, and, you know, trying to go through all this and trying to kind of figure out, okay, well, what happened, right? You know, I mean, I know that area, and, you know, I read, you know, everything that was in the packet. Yeah, I'd be on, I'd lean toward whatever the city staff is recommending
Okay.
on my part.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Crisp?
You know, I came into this with a very hard-set notion, you know, that the board members, they do this thing. This is one of their objectives when they go out and do this. And then you read the concerns of the citizens from the neighborhood, right? You have to take into account that, and I'm sure that that's one of the obvious reasons for their denial. And what happens is if you're not going to take that into account, why mail out these notifications? Why have people push back their concerns? And for having 6 inquiries, I don't think I've ever sat up here in the last 4 years and ever seen 6 inquiries come in, let alone 4, people that were basically protesting it or speaking out against it. And, you know, I'm one mind to say, you know, this board does the job, and we expect them to do it. So I had come in here with the full intent of saying, okay, the board said, let's do this. That's as a rejection. But having the concerns and hearing what being said and having engineering and then hearing staff's proposal, I'm not one to definitely say yet that I'm going to approve this. Okay, I need to be able to take the time to evaluate, okay, why did the board reject it? You know,
exactly.
I've spoke to one member of the board, that's it, okay? I can say that if the person wasn't there or wasn't there, but the idea is why did the ones that voted against it, why did you vote against it? Why are the neighbors speaking out against it? It's something that I need to have a better understanding of if I'm going to actually want to approve or reject this. I respect the board. I hope that's understood. They do the job. A lot of those members, like have been stated, have been on there for a long time, but when
Exactly.
somebody with the knowledge of replatting comes in and says, you know, it probably should have been, or somebody else says staff's recommendation initially was, well, now I need to know more about why it wasn't. So at this point, I'm sorry, Mr. Burke, but I'm going to ask that something like this be tabled, and if we have to hold a special meeting, because I know there's time limits, then we can do that. But like you said, we got this on Friday, okay, after close of business. We had Saturday, we had Sunday, and we had a holiday Monday. Who are we going to reach out to? You know, I definitely want to speak to the board and figure out exactly what they're thinking. If they convince me, I'm coming back in with the same mindset, but I need to have that knowledge as opposed to just what's written on paper.
Right.
So that's what I'm asking, if that would be something of consideration, to table this, to give me, I guess, and Ms. Sandra asking for it the same way.
Yes.
Some time to actually go through and reach out to the individuals that this concerns and better suited. You know, I'm split because I expect the board to do their job, and I really think that they did, and I want to know why they went it this way when I hear other things.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
that's my
Mr. Chris.
concern.
Mr. Burke?
Yes. First of all, I have no inherent objection to the replat. However, I was also a member of the P&Z Commission, and I know the members, and I know how seriously they take their responsibilities. And and in my mind, I'm having a hard time reconciling knowing that and their objections. So I kind of agree, I agree with both Ms. Councilwoman Bowen and Councilman Chris that I certainly would appreciate some additional time to try to get more review and input on what actually transpired or happened, or, you know, the factors involved as to why the objection.
I definitely agree that you guys are entitled to more time on
Well,
that.
I would like to say that a lot of times we agree to disagree in many situations, and that's the reason why we're American. And I have always said that time is money and money is time for those who shag. For those who do things, time is money and money is time. And so something like this, when you have facts, because opinions are a dime a dozen, as all of us up here know. Opinions are a dime a dozen. And I just feel that sometimes we cause delays in progress in our city because we want to dot the I's and cross the T's when it comes to opinions. So times like that, I ask council to look at facts. And in our package, we did have facts, and obviously our city staff recommended that it was okay versus the board. So now you have two groups of opinions, so then that comes to you guys to look at it and say, okay, what are the facts? And we know the facts are that this extra lot is bigger than the normal lots in that area. So stating that, and the fact that there are 5 houses on one side, on the north side, and then 4 on the south side, which is where they would build, that's kind of a fact. You can't change that. I really, you know, if I had the go, I'd say there's no reason why we should halt progress and halt someone trying to do something that's nice, that's going to bring revenue to the city. And times like this, someone who's building and no facts to back up a reason why not, unless you're going to go and measure some more, or I'm not really sure. And that's where I'm a little, you know, I like to look at facts because numbers don't lie, and facts are facts. Opinions obviously we have two sets. City staff says yes, and the board says no. So that's where I'm at this point, and I think that we've plenty of time, and the packet is, I mean, it's great. I think it has all the information that we need, all the measurements are there. The opinions are also set forth in our packet, if y'all want more time to read them. They're stated pretty clearly as to why. One said, "We do not want any changes done that will decrease the value of our property or increase the taxes. We do not want overcrowding. More houses means overcrowding." Well, it's one more house. So, I mean, it's up to you guys to read these opinions and have a professional statement at this time in order not to halt progress. But of course, we agree to disagree, and that's life. So it's in council's hands to make a decision. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion to table this item and bring it back at the board meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, opposed? No one. Okay, thank you, council. Great job.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Let's hold progress some more, guys. All right, discussion, agenda item 16. Discuss, consider, and act upon adopting a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign and submit grant application number 419-3301 titled Portable and Mobile Radios to the Office of the Governor for funds available in the 2021 State Homeland Security Program. B, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official and authorizing the city manager to apply for, to accept, to reject, to alter, or to terminate a grant on behalf of the city. And C, providing assurance that in the event of loss or misuse of grant funds, the city will return all funds to the office of the governor.
Again, good evening, Mayor and Council.
Hi, Ms.
Good
Barber.
evening.
This is the next funding cycle for Homeland Security grants. The proposed project for the fire department is to purchase portable radios and mobile radios. The portables are needed for new hires, and the mobiles are needed for the new engines and for other fire apparatus. And currently, the fire department's working on a budget for the grant application. The minimum to apply for is $2,500, and there's no maximum. There's no required match, and this is a reimbursement grant program. And again, this funding cycle, as was started last funding cycle, one of the threshold requirements is a cybersecurity review, and Jim Hicks, our IT manager, completed that as he did for the last funding cycle. So I want to thank him again for that. We had to submit that to the COG as evidence that we've met that particular criterion.
Council, any questions? Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Molina?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Bowen?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign and submit grant application number 419-3301 titled Portable and Mobile Radios to the Office of the Governor for funds available in the 2021 State Homeland Security Program, SHSP. B, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official and authorizing the city manager to apply for, to accept, or to reject, to alter, or to terminate a grant on behalf of the city. And C, providing assurance that in the event of loss or misuse of grant funds, the city will return all funds to the office of the governor.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion stands as stated. Agenda item 17, discuss, consider, and act upon adopting a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign and submit justice assistance grant, application number 4212501, portable radios to the office of the governor for funds available in the fiscal year 2022 Criminal Justice Grant Program. B, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official with authority to apply for, accept, reject, alter, or terminate a grant on behalf of the city, and providing assurance that in the event of loss or misuse of grant funds, the city will return all funds to the Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division.
Mayor and council, for this funding cycle for the Justice Assistance Grant Program, we're looking to apply for 22 portable radios for the police department. Currently, the department has 25 radios which are 15 years old and 10 which are at least 10 years old. And parts are no longer being manufactured for these radios. And when they do have to go out for repairs are averaging between $200 and $300. The minimum to apply for under this program is $10,000, and the maximum as set by the Public Protection Policy Committee of the COG is $166,770 per application. Again, in this program, there's no required match, and it's a grant reimbursement program. The grant application deadline is February the 11th. And if funds are awarded, the grant period would begin in our next fiscal year, starting October 1st. And our project is scalable. So if the review committee at the COG recommends partial funding, we can scale the project back.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Mr. Molina?
No questions.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Burke?
No.
Okay. All in favor? I'll entertain motion at this time.
I move to adopt a resolution, A, authorizing the city manager to sign and submit Justice Assistant Program, JAG, application number 4212501, portable radios of the Office of Governor for funds available in the FY fiscal year 2022 Criminal Justice Grant Program. B, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official with the authority to apply for, accept, reject, alter, or terminate a grant on behalf of the city. And C, providing assurance that in the event of loss or misuse of grant funds, the city will return all funds to the Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion stands as stated. Agenda
you.
item 18, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing staff to issue a request for proposals for grant writing and grant administrative services regarding funding available through the Texas Community Development Block Grant 2021 to 2022 Community Development Fund, and selecting at least one council member to serve on the evaluation committee to review proposals.
Mayor, excuse me, I'll be stepping out for 18 and 19.
Yes, ma'am, and I have the form submitted. I don't have a description for the record as to why it's a conflict of interest.
Oh, engineering firm.
So you work for the company that's working with this project?
No, that might bid on it or submit an RFQ.
Okay, so the company you work for submitted,
Might. They
Might submit.
Conflict of interest.
well, I need it for the record, ma'am. Okay.
Mayor and council, this is the Community Development Block Grant Program, which is administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture. This is the 2021-2022 funding cycle. We're looking to apply under the Community Development Fund, and we're looking to apply for funding for wastewater system improvements and/or water system improvements. The Texas Department of Agriculture has a streamlined procurement process for grant writing and grant administrative services, where you fill out a form describing the project and how it's evaluated, the point system, et cetera. And you can email that to vendors that are on a pre-qualified list that Texas Department of Agriculture has. And so we're asking for your authorization to use that streamlined procurement process for grant writing and grant administrative services, and also asking you to appoint at least one city council member to serve on the evaluation committee once those proposals come in. With regard to that procurement process, funds budgeted for administration cannot exceed the lesser of the following: $35,000 or 16% of grant funds requested. And individual firms we would be sending the RFP to, again, have to be pre-qualified through Texas Department of Agriculture. And that's the list we'll be using. And the cost of preparing a CDBG grant application is not reimbursable through any grant funds that are received. And we'll see when the proposals come back if the firms or individuals charge for grant application preparation.
Okay.
So at this time, we're asking for the authorization to issue that RFP using that streamlined process, and asking for you to select at least one council member to serve on the evaluation committee.
Okay, council, any questions? Mr. Molina?
No questions.
Mr. Crisp?
No.
Mr. Burke?
No question.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion and the
Yeah, I'd
selection.
like to make a motion authorizing staff to issue a request for proposals for grant writing and grant administrative services regarding funding available through the Texas Community Development Block Grant 2021-22 Community Development Fund, and selecting at least one council member to serve on the evaluation committee to review proposals.
Would you like to select the council member, sir? Or somebody volunteer, or you'll volunteer?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mr. Burke.
I've done it before. I think it's a great thing to be a part of, so yeah, I think
You wanna-
love free to do it.
State your name for the record that you're going to serve.
Yeah, authorizing Councilman Ron Burke to serve on the review committee.
Thank you.
I'll
Second
second.
the motion.
Okay, seconded by both Mr. Crisp and Mr. Molina. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barber.
Barbara.
Okay, agenda item
You, Ron?
18.
Ron?
Thank you, Ron. Discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing staff to issue a request for qualifications for engineering services regarding funding available through the Texas Community Development Block Grant 2021 to 2022 Community Development Fund, and B, selecting at least one member of City Council or a city employee with authority to act on behalf of that member to serve on the evaluation committee to review statements of qualifications.
Mayor and council, this is the same CDBG Community Development Fund application that we would be preparing. And Texas Department of Agriculture provides a step-by-step procedure for procuring engineering, surveying, architectural services. So we would be following that. It's essentially a traditional request for qualifications that has to be published in the newspaper,
Okay.
as well as a packet with a cover letter that we would be sending out to firms. And the dollar limit, of course, this is a request for qualifications, so we wouldn't be requesting cost information, but the TDA guidelines put a maximum on the amount that an engineering firm can charge that can be reimbursable through grant funds. And that is the lesser of $55,000 or 25% of grant funds requested.
Okay.
And again, the cost of preparing a grant application is not reimbursable through any grant funds that are awarded. There's a fiscal impact to the RFQ, and that's the cost of publishing it in the paper twice. We have a cost estimate of about, I think it was $350.
Okay.
And any of the publication costs related to grants, we're charging to grant administration budget.
Okay. All right, and for the record, Ms. Bowen did ask to not be in this agenda item due to conflict of interest. Sounds like her company that she works for will be bidding on this also. Any questions, council? Mr. Molina?
No questions.
Mr. Crisp?
I just asked Mr. Burke if he'd like to serve on this one as well, as continued as the same grant process.
Should be good.
That's it
Okay.
for me.
Any questions, Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion authorizing staff to issue a request for qualifications for engineering services regarding funding available through the Texas Community Development Block Grant 2021-2022 Community Development Fund, and select Councilman Ron Burke to serve on the Evaluation Committee for review of statement qualifications.
Second motion.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Molina. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bowen?
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay, agenda item 20, here presentation and discussion from prospective new business regarding gaming sweepstakes business. Asking to table due to lack of current information provided. Motion to table on agenda item 20.
Motion to table item 20.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item 21, discuss, consider, and act upon an ordinance allowing for the temporary reduction and/or waiver of certain health, daycare, liquor permits, and other permits or licenses or fees as it relates to business closures or reduced business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I asked to put this on the agenda, council, just in respect to our small businesses who tend to suffer, and as I like to call them, the land of the screwed, pardon me. But that is a very sad thing that small businesses go through in times of distress, stress, or in this case, the pandemic. We've had several businesses that have had reduced hours, reduced clientele that could come into their businesses, and you guys have an addendum to the agenda item 21 with the schedule of fees on there, and if council could kind of lead us in the right direction as to what is paid. So these payments are made to the city for permits, and so my request is for council to consider helping these small businesses out during this time. Hopefully the declaration will be over soon, hopefully. And at that time, then we go back to business as usual. But we do have several business owners that are suffering to pay rent and to pay insurances as they are not open during this time. So one in particular are bar businesses, our daycare businesses, our restaurants, and I'm not sure exactly, Patrick, like what exactly they're being paid. I mean, the city is being paid. If you'll keep in mind, a lot of these businesses are closed, and so kind of as a reminder of what we did for our citizens during this pandemic, where we allowed for the water bill to, we could wait a little bit on that. I don't think we've done anything for our small businesses to show them that we're here to help. So Patrick, can you tell us, what would be if I owned, just say, a bar in town that is of 51% alcohol?
If 51% bar, you would need an alcoholic beverage license to be able to sell. So you'll pay a fee to the city for that, and you'll also pay a fee to the state. There's two different fees that we pay. So the fees are set by ordinance, and what our current fees are is half of whatever the state fee is. So just take whatever they're paying us, they're paying the state double that.
Right. And so an example of that one would be beer licenses, maybe?
So like a beer license can run anywhere from, so it's not as clear as just an alcohol license or a beer license. They have different, they have little subcategories, underneath the actual alcohol license. So like if you were just selling beer and wine only, that's one fee. If you're selling a liquor, there's another fee. If it's closed liquor, it's another fee. There's different, and so they're kind of all a little different. But for like a basic one, it's usually about $175 is what the fee would normally cost. But again, they're all different, so I don't want to,
Right.
I don't want to mislead you into thinking they're all that same price, because they're not.
Okay. So council, this is for our businesses that are closed or reduced business due to the pandemic, that I'm asking you guys to consider doing something for them. Any questions, Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr. Crisp?
I do have questions, and, oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to go
No,
ahead?
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ryan.
No.
Okay, my question really is directed towards staff, because I'd like to see some numbers on this. How many permits are we talking about? What exactly are we talking about? Because, you know, I love the idea of doing things like this. You know what I mean? I really do. The problem that we have is, where do we draw these lines? Where do we draw these lines on who we're going to help and who we're not going to help? So I'd really like to see some numbers on these and get an expectation as to where the mayor actually sees this going. Is it anybody with the license? Is it the restaurants that sell because they're closed and open? And is it just the bars? Is it, you know, the daycares plus the adult daycares, they've all suffered. So we just need to see exactly where these lines are going to be drawn, and then at that point, then council can have a real evaluation of what direction we're going in. You know, we come in here with the idea of you know, which is a great idea. I think that, you know, there very well may be able to be something done for these businesses. But, you know, when it's left open like this, you know.
Sorry, I thought we'd have more information.
Well, we do have, to give you an idea, the alcohol permits for fiscal year 2020, so that started October of 19 through September 30th of this year of 2020, last year.
Mm-hmm.
The total was $5,862 is what we received on alcohol permits. Current fiscal year, we're at $1,222. Okay, and that's on the alcohol. The other one we looked up was health permits, because that, you know, restaurants and things like that, or maybe daycares, it would affect. That number for fiscal year 2020 was $13,455, and current fiscal year, the number is $4,200. Gives you a range of where we are.
Now, that alcohol permit number of the $5,800, that includes closed sale, be it grocery stores and everything?
That's everybody all grouped in one together, correct?
So the idea would be, okay, where do we draw that? Because the grocery stores never closed.
Right.
Right,
Well, no,
so-
I'm speaking on behalf of businesses that have closed or have been affected by restrictions of the emergency declaration, which means like our restaurants that are not at 100% capacity. So they were just required to go back down to 50%. Our bars were required to close as of the last few numbers. And this will be a time of uncertainty with these restrictions, where if our rates, our hospital rates, did we figure, was it hospital?
It's both, actually.
Positivity?
Yeah, it's positivity rate and hospital rate.
So because those are jumping, you have these people that are investing in food or investing in alcohol sales, and then we tell them, well, you got to close. So that's where my concern comes, just on a small business level, appreciation, when in times like this, that's all we have left. If we look at what we have left. And it's hard. It's extremely hard for small businesses right now because of the uncertainty and because of, okay, this week we're good, but next week you're not. I had one business owner that was told, well, speak to the city and see when you can open back up when the positivity rate goes down. So now it goes on a weekly basis where they have to be checking. Very hard to do business like that when you have perishable goods. Very hard.
We can work on a breakdown of which businesses were required to close, or which ones were restricted to 50%, and we can give you guys a breakdown of the businesses that were affected, and if you want it broken down like that.
And another thing that we might look at, and I know that it's not the same as completely dismissing them, but is maybe looking at the same process for which that we did with the water sales. Say, okay, if you come in and you talk to us, we can push that back. And, you know, if they don't open for the whole year, well, you know what I mean? It's a different story, but, you know, maybe something along those lines too, where we give them a little bit of leadway.
Absolutely.
In that aspect also. It's not saying you're not going to pay it, but you're shut down now, so you don't have to pay it now.
Right.
You know what I mean? That might be something else that we can look at too, as opposed to just trying to wipe out. I mean, I'm going to just be out there. the city suffers too, right? Like, we're also, not only are we suffering from the fact that we're looking at giving up permits, but every beer they sell, every, nachos they sell, whatever it is, every one of those generates revenue in sales tax for the city as well. So we're
When they go out
suffering.
of business, Mr. Crisp, then we don't have that revenue.
Huh?
So when they go out of business, then we don't have
Well,
that revenue.
when they're closed, we don't have it either, and therefore we're suffering also.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. We as a city are suffering also. So, we can do what we can do, and we need to limit it to who really needs it. And I think that this is a good thing to do. If we can get the information, maybe we can push back their payments. We're not talking about huge amounts for the individual companies, but it is a big amount when they're not open. Zero revenue, and you're having to pay out money, no matter what it is, it's a loss. So I would like to get a little bit more detailed information and the direction that we go, and maybe pushing back these permits as opposed to just, instead of just wiping them. I'm done, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Molina?
I have no comments.
Ms. Bowen?
None.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this time. So it dies.
I asked for staff to bring back information.
So, motion to table then?
Get information.
Huh?
I just simply asked for staff to bring back information, and then we can bring it back if we need to.
So then we got a table.
No, we don't have to table. We can always bring back an item whenever we want. So right now, it died.
So it died. Okay. Agenda item 21 dies for lack of motion. Wow. Okay. Agenda item 22, here status report. Thank you, Patrick.
I'm
for
waiting to
this
hear
is-
what the next one is.
It's a month-end, here status report on December 2020, month-end financial statements and summary of funds and delivery of December 2020, check registers, and discussion on sales tax revenues.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Roland?
Who's back there? I have a point. There, thank you. Thanks.
Where's your clicker?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there you go. Okay, we're 3 months into the fiscal period, so it's December 31st, 2020. We should be about 25%. General fund revenues are $1,786,817 year-to-date, so we're about 15%. Of course, this includes only sales tax through October. Property tax, we're at $699,398 for the budget, and year-to-date was $663,052. That's only for your current and delinquent. On Exhibit B, you have property tax, and this does include M&O and INS. That's $1,348,793 for 2021, and last year at this time, we're at $1,301,505. So we're about $47,288 in the positive there, doing better this year than we were last year at this time. Sales tax, we're at $1,350,000 year-to-date, and that $425,273 is through October only. Exhibit C, we have October and November that we were able to receive November, so it's not reflected in your financials yet. Through those 2 months, we have budgeted $900,000, and we're $828,491,000, so that's $71,509 less than the budget amount.
Yeah, so sales tax has continued to drop. It looks like our initial projection, we were at 450,000 a month. The last sales tax amount was 403. However, we didn't bring a budget amendment this time because we did, the last two budget amendments we did, we took out a little bit more from the cash side. And so that leaves us from being whole about I think it was about $30,000, Roland, which is not a big number to be off at this time. But, if it continues again for the next month, we'll definitely have another budget revision. But we're getting close to where there's not a whole lot more to do because we really tightened up last year starting here and all through the summer and tightened up. So, hopefully it's gonna creep up on us, but it has gone down, and it's a very hard thing to project. We were projecting 508 last fiscal year. This year, we dropped it drastically to 450, and that's a pretty big number to drop, and haven't met that mark yet. So we're well aware of the sales tax dropping, and we're looking at that all the time, and finance and myself, we're trying to come up with solutions. And so early on, these last two helped kind of, keep us not so far in the red, but we are monitoring that situation.
Okay. On Exhibit D, you have actual October 2021 versus, fiscal year 2021 versus 2020. And this year, we're about 47, almost 48,000 less than where we were last year at this time. So occupational mixed beverage, this is October through December, so it's due at the end of January. That's only about 1.5%. Franchise license and permits were about 11.25%. Intergovernmental were about 20.5%. Charges for services were about a little over 36%. Fines and forfeitures about 14%. Miscellaneous revenues were a little over 19%. And our interfund transfers is right at 25%. On Exhibit E, we have our general fund expenditures. We're under the 25%. We're about 24.72%, so we're right under. Some of the larger ones, general services at 32%. That's over budget, but we did have a RTML liability and property payment that we had to pay. Finance administration is at 27%. And that's due to our software payment with Encode. Fire department's at 27%. We had a little bit in overtime there. Police department is right under at 23%. Street maintenance is under at 19%. Garage is right at 24%. Parks and playgrounds is 22%. On Exhibit F, we have all the major funds. 2021 revenues over 2021 expenditures. General fund is $1,014,418, and the negative solid waste is 36,380, and the positive. Utility fund is 652,273, and the positive. Airport fund is 2,911. That's with the transfer, and the negative. Golf course is 13,774. With the transfer. Hotel occupancy is 573, and the negative, and the multi-use complex is 21,848, and the positive with the transfer. Exhibit G, we have 2020 revenues over expenditures versus 2021. Last year, general fund was $1,676,000 almost, and this year is $1,115,000. Solid waste was almost 72,000 in the positive, and this year it's a little over 36,000. Utility fund was almost 313,000, and this year it's 652,000. Airport fund 2,800 in the positive, and this year it's 2,900 in the negative. Golf course fund was 4,200 in the negative last year, and this year it's almost 14,000 in the positive. Hotel occupancy tax fund was almost 9,000 in the positive, and this year it's negative 573. And multi-use complex, 7,700 in the negative, this year it's 21,848 in the positive. So that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions.
Questions, Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Mr. Molina?
No, thank you, Roland.
Mr. Chris?
Thank you. No, ma'am. You're welcome.
Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Roland, can you repeat how far we're down in sales tax revenue?
Yeah, it's about 70, let me see. You mean budget versus actual?
Uh-huh.
Budget versus actual was 71,509 for October, November.
It's down.
Down.
70,000?
71,509.
down. Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. Agenda item 23. Hear a presentation from the Alice Fire Department Fire Chief Patrick Thomas regarding statistics for fourth quarter and yearly calls for service.
Mayor, also, if you want to maybe open up agenda item number 5 so you can talk about both.
Sure.
Is that, we skipped that one.
Patrick, we'll start with number 5, discussion regarding COVID-19.
Thank you, buddy.
Including vaccine distribution information. Thank you, sir.
And on agenda item number 5, so we wanted to make this an agenda item so we can talk about the vaccine COVID-19 stats and also how the distribution of vaccines are working and what we're not responsible for. A lot of people think we're responsible for a lot of the things that are happening, but we're not. And so Patrick has been, and yourself, Mayor, have been in the middle of a lot of these meetings.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to get that agenda item so we could let the public know what's going on and where we are on it.
Thank you.
So to date, the state had, and a couple, I think it was last council meeting, you guys reissued a frequently asked questions packet about the vaccine plan. I'm sorry, I'm going to take the mask off. I feel like you can't hear me when I'm talking with that. So you were given a copy of the state's plan for the vaccine and how the state was planning to administer the vaccine. And of course, I kind of went over a little bit about it back then, but I'll revisit that. The state's plan is to separate everybody into different groups. There's 1A, 1B, and they're separating the groups based on who needs it with their expert panel that the governor created. That they decide who needs it more, I guess, or needs it first before everybody else gets it. And so they included people like hospital staff, first responders, some first responders, and then there's some essential staff that the state grouped into that 1A group. Then the 1B group are people that are 65 and older that have that are 65 and older, or anybody else that's 16 and older that has a underlying condition, and those conditions are can be things such as cancer, obesity. There's a long list of things, and that's all in your packet. So you can look at those, and those are also readily available on the DSHS's website. They've got a entire section just on how the vaccine plan is supposed to work, and everybody's able to go in there and see the different vaccines that have been issued out to everywhere in the state. Not just you can zero into just your county, or you can go and look at the entire state to see where all the vaccines are going and who's getting vaccines and who's not getting vaccines. But to date, our county we're in week 6 of their plan. And our county has received 1,975 doses of vaccines, of the vaccine. Different brands. I know there's a Pfizer brand, a Moderna brand, and not all of those vaccines have been administered to arms yet. There's, as a matter of fact, the meeting I was at before, the reason I was late is because I was part of that planning meeting for an event that should happen sometime this week through SPAWN and the county. And City Manager is correct when he talks about what our role in this vaccine process is, and there are some misconceptions that we are going to get vaccines and we're going to be able to give out vaccines, and that's not the case. We don't have that ability. We don't have the medical staff on board to be able to do something like that. We're not a provider of the vaccine. We are simply here to support any providers that do get the vaccines in our city. There are a number of providers, everywhere from Christus Spawn, HEB Pharmacy, Walgreens Pharmacy, Community Action Corporation, and then some of the local doctors and nursing homes have become providers as well. All for different reasons. The nursing homes obviously are providing the vaccine to their staff and their residents, and some of the vaccines are open providers, which means that they will provide the vaccine to anybody who needs the vaccine. That meets that criteria when the state releases those criteria to be able to allow to get those vaccines. So where we're at is we're supporting any facility, if it's a private provider, if it's the county or the public hospital, we're going to support them and make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that anybody who wants the vaccine has the ability to be able to get the vaccine. Anywhere from helping organize events to providing cones for an event, whatever we need to do that we have the ability to be able to do, we're going to do that, and we've committed ourselves to being able to make sure that that happens. So that's the vaccines. If anybody needs more information on the vaccines, again, DSHS has a very detailed website. Each one of those providers provides their own way of, because the number one call we get here, and I'm pretty sure you guys have received the calls too, is where can I register to get a vaccine? Every provider has a different process. Unfortunately, they all have their own systems that they use to be able to do that. So if you want to get a shot from HEB, you've got to go through HEB's process to be able to get that vaccine. Those stipulations and those requirements aren't set by us as a city. Those are set by the state. When you register to become a provider, you have to sign an agreement that you'll meet certain criteria, and one of those criteria is that you'll have a registration process, and then of course they have a certain amount of time to be able to report that back to the state as far as how many vaccines they were able to get out to the people. And one thing that has changed here last week, so last week on Thursday we had our first vaccine conference call. They had not had those yet. We've had conference calls for all kinds of other things, testing, all kinds of other COVID-related issues, but not for the vaccine. So last week the governor's office did initiate a conference call for the vaccine, and at that conference call they rolled out who was getting the vaccines for that week, and also talked a little bit about creating hubs. So Spahn Hospital is our hub for our city or our county, and so most of the vaccines will be going through them. So we are working with them to try to help them get that out. But one of the things that they did highlight in that meeting is that it's a competition based now. So the faster you can receive the vaccines and get the vaccines out, moves you up to the top of the list of being able to get more vaccines. So it's very important that we support any of the providers here that are planning on holding events, so to make sure that it goes smooth for them and they can get those vaccines in people's arms as fast as possible, because that just means that they're able to get more vaccines and more vaccines for our people that need the vaccine or want the vaccine. It's important to us to make that happen. So that's why we're there in a supporting role to make that happen. Those conference calls are going to be every week. So this Thursday will be another conference call. We'll get the next round of where all the next rounds of vaccines are going to go to, and any changes that are made, week to week. And every week there's been a change on how the vaccines are getting rolled out. There are a lot of lessons learned. Some of the bigger mega, they call them mega hubs, like Nueces County. They're learning as they go as well. They rolled out their first one, and you had to have an appointment, and that didn't go as smooth as possible. So they rethought that, and they're doing different things. So the plus side of us, being on a little bit, couple weeks behind everybody else, is we're learning from all their mistakes too, so we don't do those same things. So that's where we're at on the vaccine. Do you have any questions or anything?
Mr. Burke, any questions?
Yeah, just a comment. I appreciate the fact that you mentioned about the sites and the state and all that. I think we've all experienced the frustration of constituents who are saying, look, we know who the providers are, but we're trying to make contact with them. And for some reason, it's an inability to connect for some reason. And it's just, it's very frustrating for the public. If there could just be some more centralized by the state or county or whoever, so that the information can flow better, so they can make their registrations and they can make that. Because some of it, for some people, it's kind of complicated a little, computers and things like that. So as much as they could do to make it simplified would just be so appreciated by everybody.
Agreed.
Mr. Crisp?
So you said that number that has been not necessarily distributed but has shipped here was how much in Jim Wells County?
1,975 to date. That's as of week 6. Now, not all of those have been put into arms of people, but I would say at least 50% of those have been already distribute it out.
Distribute it, okay. The next question is, we get comments and things like that, like the city of San Diego pushed for it. Now, it wasn't San Diego. We're talking about the county level where they pushed and they were able to get their CDC distribution rather quickly. Now, the idea, I'm not going to, because it's a county thing, but just to reiterate the fact that every county is supposed to get one of those throughout the course of this distribution, if I'm correct.
I'm not 100% sure on how that is going to be laid. I know that every region, so when you say CDC, you mean Department of State Health Services?
Yeah,
or-
sorry, yes.
So Department of State Health Services separated into different regions. So ours is Region 11. Every region, the region is not just Jim Wells County, it's really big. The office is actually in Harlingen, so you can imagine how big that region is. It's, we're going all the way down to the border, all the way up to Corpus Christi and Live Oak County, I believe. So I don't know exactly how they're allotting those, but I do know that every time that there's an allotment, there's some number that goes to that region, and then the doctor for that region determines which county or which city gets those. That has nothing to do with the cities or the counties. We don't get to tell them, hey, we want it. I mean, we can tell them all we want, and we have been, but that doesn't mean that they have to give it to us. The doctor for that region, for our region is Dr. Pro. We communicate with her regularly. Dr. Pro and Dr. Cuevas are the two doctors that oversee this region. And keep in mind, those the communities that they oversee are communities that do not have their own health department. So, City of Corpus Christi, I do get a lot of phone calls about, well, City of Corpus Christi is doing this, city county. The city does not have a health department in Corpus Christi. They have a city-county health department, and so the county kind of takes the brunt of that and does everything with that agency. Region 11 does not have anything to do with those. The vaccines that are given to Region 11 don't go to that area because they have their own allotment. They go to areas like Duval County, Jim Wells County, Brooks County.
Truth be told, we did have 200 vaccines that went out before Duval
Right.
County did.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have it broken down by
It wasn't
week.
publicized. We didn't know until it was here.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's how this thing is going, where we don't know. The feds are streaming down, and it's not even at the state level. It's up at the Fed
Week
level.
two, we received 300 vaccines here in Jim Wells County. 200 went to Spawn and 100 went to HEB. And this is all available on the website, the Department of State Health Services website. Week 4, we had 200 doses that went to HEB and 200 doses that went to Walgreens. Then now it seems like they skip a week because now we're in week 6. So we received some in week 2, we received some in week 4, and we've received some in week 6. Week 6 was 975 for Spawn. 200 for Department of State Health Services, and then 100 for KCOST, for Community Action Corporation.
And at one point, we did not know. We knew we had received in the city of Alice vaccines, but we had no clue where they were.
Right.
No clue. So it's been a very frustrating situation because our hands are tied.
And I was going to say, just to commend the emergency management team, because I know you are staying on top of this, and just to deal with it, because I'm sure that you're getting the phone calls of people more so than we are, because we are getting phone calls, but that you're out there, you're continuing to advocate for the city of Alice and for the citizens of Alice, and we thank y'all for that, continuing to do that. And I did hear about the fact that even in other places that, tomorrow you're getting your vaccinations, your vaccines, and it's 4:45 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to organize volunteers or get stuff together or organize their staff, and how are they going to take the time to stop and call the city of Alice and say, hey, let everybody know, when they just have to get ready to even, put needles in arms?
To store
So
them,
to curb that, what we've done is we've reached out. Dr. Dissenblatt is our county or county health authority. We've reached out. We've been working real close with them, him and his office. We've been working really close with the county as well to try to make sure that we're prepared. So when we do get that call that says, hey, we've got 1,000 doses, you guys, get them out. we've done everything we could to make sure that it goes as smooth as possible. But, again, in a supportive role, because we're really not going to be the ones that get that call. It's going to be Dr. Eric's office, or it's going to be the hospital that's going to get the call that says, hey,
It's basically when they call us and say, we need help with
Exactly.
traffic, or we
Yeah,
need help
exactly. Traffic
with
control.
cones, or we need help with, that's when we know.
And the really, these ladies back here are the ones that are getting all the phone calls. You need to thank them, because they receive the calls and they get the angry citizen that is frustrated, and
Understandable.
we're frustrated as well. We want to be able to give them answers. They want to be able to give answers, and we just don't have those answers to give, unfortunately. But
And for
we'll
the
continue to
record,
move.
we have not had a vaccine.
Uh,
Me and Patrick, nor our families have
Right.
not. So that
I still
was
have I staff, firefighters that are in that 1A group that have not received the vaccine yet. So
First responders
believe me,
that
they let me know every day, hey, chief, I need the vaccine. I'm working on it. We're trying to get it, but it's not it's just like it hasn't been available to the citizens. It hasn't been available to the first responders as well either.
Right.
So we're struggling to get that as well.
It's a very sad situation. It's almost like a scary movie,
Mhm.
the way it's happening. But I do thank you so much, Patrick, for all of your work. And without that presence, we may have not even had what we've had. So thank you very much. Okay, any other questions, Mr. Molina?
No.
Ms. Bowen?
Yes. Obviously, open communication is a key factor, to keep that going, and I appreciate all that you and your staff is doing for that, and Odie and Nellie as well. I mean, it is a big task, and y'all are doing a great job. Thank y'all for that. These vaccines, you said 1,975. It's my understanding, there's two different kinds?
Yes, there's a
They-
Moderna and a Pfizer.
Okay, now, are they both a two process? I mean, with
Yes.
a booster or whatever, they have to
all
take
Yes,
the
ma'am.
second one, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's like, what, 21 days later? or
Depends, I believe it's 28 days, but
28
yes,
days?
I believe so.
21 and one's 28.
One's
There you go.
21 and
Yeah, they're
one's
different.
28.
They both have different.
Okay, so I'm sure everybody keeps track of that, and then they call them out that this second vaccine is...
That is one of the requirements I mentioned earlier, that the provider has to meet a certain set of criteria. That's one of the criteria that they have to meet. They have to be able to have a mechanism to be able to if you
Keep
get
track of that.
round one of the vaccine, they've got to keep track of getting you the second round of the vaccine.
Okay, great, great.
Now, I know there are groups, I know the hospital staff has already received their second rounds. We're slowly getting to the point where some of the people that have already received the first round will start getting their second round. So, we're yet to see how smooth that goes, but we're anticipating that there may be the person that doesn't come back for that second round.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and we don't know how that's going to affect our dosages.
Our dosages, okay. This conference call that you have weekly now with the governor, our county judge is also in attendance to that meeting?
I know that he was on the last one, I believe. Honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell, because
wouldn't know.
it's a phone
It's-
call.
it's a phone.
It's
It-
not
you
like a
wouldn't
Zoom
know.
where you get to see who's there. It's a phone call, so you
You don't-
just get to.
Oh, it's not a Zoom, okay.
No, it's not a Zoom. It's a phone call, so you literally call in, and so you just have
And
people
you
talking.
listen,
Yeah.
and if you have questions, you chime in.
I do know that Dr. Eric, his office was on there because they asked a question.
I see, I
and
see.
during the question and answer portion.
Yeah, I've been on quite a few of those, too. Okay, well, thank you again, Patrick. I really appreciate all you do and your staff, so just keep up the great work and stay safe.
Yes, ma'am.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. All right, thank you, Patrick.
And I'll
You're
move into the
awesome.
next agenda and make it very brief, because I know I've taken up all the chief's time and he's dying to get up here.
On to 23.
I'll wake him
Taking a
up.
nap.
I'll wake him up back there.
So before you have your packet, I just passed it out to you, and I apologize for making it such short notice that I got you the packet. I know you guys like to review things, but I've been really, really busy, I promise. I do want to go over some of the numbers for the fourth quarter, and then I'm just going to go over the highlights. The detailed information is in your packet, and as always, if you have any questions, you feel free to reach out. Our call volume is still up. Obviously, if you look at the regular general incident statistics, you'll see that while our call volume is up this quarter from last quarter, not last quarter, but this same time last year, we've had 59 more calls than we did last year at this time. But 75 of those calls were EMS calls increase, and we actually had a drop in the number of fire calls that we had. We were 16 calls less than we were last year at the same time. So that's important to note. Our overlapping calls are still kind of high, and that's because the calls are taking a lot longer to deal with because they're multiple multiple vehicle responses now, especially with the EMS and COVID. It's not just send an ambulance, it's send an ambulance and send one, sometimes two fire trucks, or two ambulances and a fire truck, because it takes a lot of preparation to get ready to protect the responders. They've got extra suits and things that they've got to put on to protect themselves. So you've got last year's and this year's general statistics. Once you go down to the breakdown, of course, you've got everything that you need to be able to see exactly where the calls were. And I've broken that down by city, county, and both combination of both altogether. Also broke it down by the zones. And one of the things that once we go on to the next one, once we look at the monthly report, you'll see that, and I went ahead and included the entire year, so you'll see January all the way through December, the monthly totals, and you'll see our busy months were when COVID was peaking. Keep in mind, the bulk of our call volume has been the EMS calls and assisting with those COVID calls. So during July, January, June, July, August, when it was really high, that's when the numbers were the highest. And then December was kind of lower than normal. We had a slower December to slower November than normal, but we're still higher overall. The total call volume, if you look at the total call volume, we're at a 15-year high. We haven't had this many calls in about 15 years. Wow. But when you look at the fire call volume, and you get down into the number of house fires, number of vehicle fires, things like that, those are all lower than average and lower than normal. So we're still curbing as many fires as we can and trying to prevent as much as we can. But of course, COVID threw a whole curveball in there as well, because our traditional ways of being out there and preventing fires, you guys have, some of you guys have been here and seen our presentations with our clown program, and we're very involved with the schools and different organizations in town. We're unable to do that right now, not because the schools haven't let us in or any of the organizations aren't partnering with us. It's just that we're so busy, and we constantly are being exposed to the virus, that we don't want to carry that anywhere else. So it's unsafe for us to, not so much unsafe for us, but unsafe for the public as well. So you don't see us out as much. Believe me, the guys are itching to get out there. They some of these guys, they really enjoy going out and doing this stuff. But this world that we live in right now, we're struggling to be able to come up with that. So there are other departments that have gotten a little creative, and we're kind of following them and trying to come up with our own ways of getting creative with it. But we're going to still continue to try to keep our call volume down as much as we can. Aside from that, I don't have anything else unless you have any questions.
Ms. Bowen, any questions?
No, thank you.
Mr. Molina?
Thank you, Patrick.
Mr. Crisp?
Yeah, and just so that we're aware now, I noticed that, and everybody should know that we actually have 3 setup locations now. So our reports are showing 2 for 19 and 3 for 20. And I did notice, though, and I'm sure I know what the answer is, but that there's about a minute to almost 2 minutes difference in fire time from leaving to getting to location, or from getting the call, actually not leaving, from getting the call to location. Is that a
That is because on some of the, so it takes the entire, it doesn't separate fire calls or EMS calls or structure fire or anything like that. So it averages them all together. And so getting prepared to go to, sometimes we'll get a call to, a 911 call to go to, I'll just use one of the nursing homes as an example, where we know ahead of time our dispatchers do a great job, both here and at our EMS dispatchers that are in Corpus do a great job of screening the calls when they call. And if there's any hint that there's COVID involved or suspected COVID with that patient, it takes a little longer for the guys to prepare themselves to get extra layers of whether it's gloves, masks. Sometimes you'll see them in a full disposable suit. So yeah, there is a little bit of a delay in that, and it takes that and averages that out with everything. So that's why you'll see. But if you look at the overall, we're still faster than we were last year, like 20 seconds. No, I'm sorry, it was 11 seconds. So we got 11 seconds faster, even having to do all that stuff. So.
That's good.
That's good.
Yes,
That's good.
sir. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Okay,
That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Burke?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate all of your work and all the hats you wear.
Thank you.
Doesn't go unnoticed, Patrick. Thank you. Agenda item 24, hear presentation from the Alice Police Department Interim Chief Ron Davis regarding statistics for fourth quarter and yearly calls for service, arrest, and citation information within the city of Alice. Hi, Chief.
Mayor and council, each of you have the handout that we gave you before the meeting, and I won't go in and repeat what you'll be able to read yourself. It's not like it's real lengthy or detailed, but I did want to highlight that the changes that you guys allowed us to make to our recruitment, our cadet program, how we can do civil service testing is paying dividends. In July, we had 12 vacancies. Now we have 6. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that we have 6 new people total on the streets, but we have some in the academy, which will be coming out. We've got 2 certified officers that we just hired, and they're on the street training. But the big point is that we do have a process in place, and it's working. So we couldn't have done it without y'all's help. On the body cameras, well, that's been a project, but we finally got them. We finally got the software glitches ironed out of them. So there really is no excuse for us not to have good, reliable body cam footage when we need it or if somebody has a question. Portable radios is something that is the next big issue. As I believe Barbara mentioned to you earlier, of our 40 some odd portable radios, 25 of them are over 15 years old. 4 of them are 10 years old. I mean, in technology terms, everybody knows that's like Neanderthal equipment. And hopefully with this grant, we're going to be able to get some radios to apply to those, replacing those old ones. But I'm just saying that one of the things that I will leave for my successor is for sure that need to be looking at some type of replacement plan so that you don't have these giant numbers staring you in the face all of a sudden. So that's something that those of you who are still on the council will probably be seeing in future budget meetings. On the charts, ours are pretty simple. Trying to be consistent with what I've done since I've been here. We have the last one you saw was based on a fiscal year, and this one is based on this fiscal year. So we've only got 3 months, but the bar graph follows very closely what we were seeing in the one from fiscal year 19 and 20. We're down some, but in like our citations and arrest, but that's kind of be expected because there's the emphasis on not doing those things as much because of the COVID. The one that, again, strikes me as strange, and I just haven't had the time to delve into it, is our reports made are down, but our calls for service continue to rise. And one of the things on the checklist for the successor will be see if we can figure out and make sure what's responsible for that, because to me that's a little odd, but that's going to be an involved task trying to delve into the CAD system and RMS system. So really that's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Burke?
Yes, Chief, and I'm not just asking for myself. I'd like the information, to be for all council members. In the quarter and for the previous year, could you get me information? And I appreciate the fact you might not have it right in front of you, but I'd like to see information for the quarter and for previous year, last year, on how many narcotic search warrants were executed. Is that possible to get me that information?
I can look into it and see. I know that the numbers, certainly we've had very few, just in the time that I have been here. Mm-hmm. And, there is a rumor out there persisted by people with their own agendas that we don't work narcotics. That's not true. I have repeatedly said that our first priority is we have to staff up patrol. We can't, I mean, if we did nothing else, patrol has to be our number one priority. We do still make narcotics arrests, and we do still run an occasional warrant. I'll try and get that information for you. But we don't have the resources, and actually on the 26th, I'm moving someone that has some more experience in that area back into CID and taking someone else out. It would be ideal if I were going to be here, a few more months. I would definitely be taking people from patrol once that can be safely maintained. And I would like to see something put together that was a lot more effective than it wasn't operating when I got here, but from what I've heard, a not particularly efficient system for working narcotics in the city of Alice. But I'll be happy to try and get that information. for
And
you.
the second part of the question goes along with it. I'd like to, within that same time frame, about how many interdiction stops have been made and what were the results of those stops? Were they warnings? Were there arrests made? Were cases filed? If such information, if you can, get such information.
Well, I mean, there again, that comes up to your definition of what interdiction means. To me, it means more actively working the highways. And that's why we have an agreement with, we got one with the Sheriff's Department, and then we got one with next county over, Duval. And that's where I'm talking about when we get some bodies, we can have people that is their job. We do have the Stone Garden, we do have the Border Star grants. They do, that seems to me, at least my take on it, is more in Alice types of grants. So, it's what I'm providing for whoever takes my place is at least a chance to go and do that. They're going to have the staffing, and they've got the mechanism in place that they should be able to keep it close to being full once, we get a few more of these people through the academy, et cetera. Like I said, we've only got 6 vacancies, which is pretty good. Now, of those 6 we've got 6 hard vacancies, we have no bodies whatsoever to put in the blank spot. A soft vacancy is we have bodies, but they're in the academy, they're training. So those eventually migrate over to fill, just to go off the chart completely as a vacancy. But we're real close, and I appreciate the hard work of my staff and thinking out of the box that they've done to try and get us halfway filled up.
Okay. Mr. Burke, anything else?
Thank you for your, appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Crisp?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Molina?
How long does the field training take?
About 3 months.
How long does the field training take?
No problem. It's about 3 months.
Okay.
And then you throw an academy in there, and then the processing time. If you're starting from scratch with somebody, I mean, it's a year process, basically, to get somebody on board. And, it may become really commonplace, but I would advocate what I call an overfill system.
Over what, I'm sorry?
Overfill.
Okay.
We had great success with it when I was in Addison. And in fact, most of the departments around us adopted that system where you may be at 100% full, but in a year, you're going to have people retiring. Somebody's probably going to get, hopefully not, but run off. Someone's just going to resign. So you anticipate what you're looking and see what are our average vacancy rate for the last 5 years. And you kind of anticipate what's coming up. So you hire, even though you may be full today, you're not going to be tomorrow. So instead of starting that year process, in May, you have somebody in the pipeline going through, and when that person leaves, well, it's not an impact on your budget really, because you're paying the new person less than what you generally would be paying a person that's been around for a period of time. So that's something that, I hope that my successor will bring on here, because we actually are, the mechanism's in place. It just requires council to say, yeah, we can do that. So.
I just find it odd that we had 18 applicants and only 2 were chosen to go to police academy.
Oh, I didn't. That's not surprising.
Okay.
You always get more than.
Well, I don't know, what's not surprising?
That the rate was 2.
Okay.
As far as that we elected to choose, because, the backgrounds, they weed out a lot.
Sure.
And I will say that I think that we're doing a better job. The people that I've got doing backgrounds now, they're doing it right. They're doing site visits. They're not just, hey, this is so-and-so, or they're not looking into why someone left a previous employer. They weren't. We are now. So those numbers are it wasn't surprising to me at all.
I know you said that there was 12 vacancies back in July, but did that include, and there's just 6 vacancies now, does that include the ones that are kind of in the system already, kind of going through the process?
Those are we have 6, like I said, hard vacancies.
Right.
We have no prospects at this point.
Right.
Now, someone could walk in the door tomorrow.
Sure.
And thanks to the way we've changed things, they could, be working
Right.
here in a matter of weeks. But right now, we have no one for those spots. The 6 people that we've hired since then, 1, 2, 3, I think I think it's 3 are on the street, and then we've got 3 more, 2 in the academy, and 1 that just started FTO training. So, it's kind of hard to put a firm number on it.
But I guess the point I'm making is, like, since July, we've had 12 vacancies, and right now, we'll say, well, there's 6 vacancies right now, but those are hard vacancies, right? Because we have no prospects. The other ones are soft, meaning, 6 to 9 months from now, they're still going to be pretty much hard because there's nobody there.
Well, and we
This is
actually
really
have a
vacant.
civil service test that we're doing, I think it's February 23rd, that will allow us to look and hopefully fill a couple of spots on our cadet program.
Right.
And, at the same time, we're still recruiting, and we still get interest from other people that are already certified. I wouldn't, if I had 6 good candidates walk in the door today that were cadets, I wouldn't want all of them, because we still need to have a balance of people that already have some experience and they're already certified. So, I would hope we could get a couple out of the next group. It'll probably be a smaller testing group, because we had a lot of, I'll say, a lot of people that probably shouldn't have tested, and I think we've gotten a lot of them out of the way. I don't feel like I'm addressing your real question.
No, I'm just concerned about the vacancies, I get a lot of feedback from fellow officers that are my friends that I grew up with, went to school with, and they're concerned about about staffing, and it's been an issue for a while.
It has been.
And that's why when I said July, I said, wow, it seemed like just yesterday, but, and then and it's, and I'm just kind of the outside guy looking in, but I see, wow, 18 applicants, and they only chose 2, and then we can't do anything with them for 9 months, right? So it's like, well.
Well, I've seen tests given that you don't choose any.
Say it again?
That you don't choose anyone.
Okay.
That's why it's not uncommon for me.
Right.
I would rather hire nobody than hire a problem.
Right. No, I understand that. I just, where are we going to get to a point where it's like, okay, we need to fix what's broken, right? There's a problem if we've gone since July with 12 vacancies. Am I the only one that sees that?
I think
see
the
a lot of
goal
things
is the
that
goal is to
y'all don't
hire
see
the right
too.
people. I think is the ultimate goal, not just to hire somebody because they show up with an app and put in an
Well,
application.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, we can kick it around back and forth. The fact of the matter is there's still vacancies, whether hard, soft, whatever. We don't have people on the street right now, and I don't know, maybe I'm just making an innocent observation, and I'm not criticizing anything. I'm just kind of saying, you know, there's a way to kind of tweak this to where, you know, I don't know, maybe we need to, you know, get a recruitment firm to bring us folks from somewhere else if the local pool is not giving us what we need.
I believe they've tried. The officers have gone to,
Well, in the efforts that we made, you know, with the cadet program and things like that, and the testing, and also being able to test one person, instead of before, you know, our hands were tied, you needed two. So there's a lot of things, you know, from administration and from you guys that have allowed that to happen, that got us to only having 6. Because, you know, with the 6 off vacancies, I mean, a total of 12, but some people are already there, you know, they're working, they're field training, so.
Right.
So, you know, that, it is a pretty big jump getting those 6 people in,
Sure.
you know, from July.
We have a person that's in the academy now that has not yet been picked up by a department, who's putting himself through. His spring break is March 8th, and he's coming in to take our test. So if
Nice.
he were to come in, then boom, we've got another person. Yes, you know, it's going to be a few months, but when he comes out, he'll have a job, and we'll be able to put him into field training. And the other thing is, you can't overwhelm your trainers. We only got X number of trainers, and that's a real beating to train. I personally never wanted to do it. I just don't have that much patience, and God bless the people that we do have that do it and do a good job. So, you know, it is a process, Mr. Molina, but I mean, from my perspective, I'm tickled pink because
Sure.
the tools are there. I mean, you know, I'm not being flippant, but I mean, if you really wanted to improve and get more spots in here, then raise your salaries considerably.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's a real simple choice. Make it where more people want to come here from another department. But, you know, I'm not advocating that. I work within the parameters that you guys, or that we have. I mean, just dealing with the realities here.
Right.
And the fact that we are where we are right now, I think is pretty good for just
Sure.
my
And
perspective.
for
And
me,
I don't-
looking in, you know, it seems easier, right? But I'm just, you know, the frustration is just part of the business, I guess, you know. So.
Well, I mean, I understand that, and you know, people are working overtime and whatnot, but
A lot of overtime.
there again, oh yes, I agree 100%, and you know, it's just like with this COVID deal that's coming up on Thursday and Friday. We're meeting tomorrow with Patrick. We're probably going to have to tax another group of people to unexpectedly, okay, you are probably going to have to work overtime for us to fill this.
Right.
So, and, you know, we're like every other business. Someone gets COVID, well, they're gone for 2 weeks, so, you know, that's more people. But we are getting very close to being at a good spot staffing-wise.
Got it.
And, you know, I would say it's a good sign that we haven't had anybody leave.
It's true.
Really, except for the first one. We had one retirement and one person that chose to resign. So, you know, since then, I take that back. We did have one who went to Duval County, so that's 3. Compared to what the turnover rate was before I got here,
Right.
I can live with that.
Yeah, you inherited a mess, sure.
So
That's all I had. I appreciate
Well,
it.
and
Thank you for your
please
feedback.
come by anytime, and, you know, I can speak to more detail about your specific concerns and what the plan is, but whoever's coming in is going to have something in place. Now, they can tweak it or do whatever they want to with it, but there is a plan in place that's proven to be effective that will get us bodies.
Thank you, Chief.
Ms. Bowen, any questions?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank you for finding some time last week to visit with me
Oh,
one-on-one.
it's my pleasure.
Yes, thank you. And it was very informative. I feel very comfortable. You know, I felt comfortable before, but now I feel even more comfortable with your presence there.
Thank you.
I commend you on the progress you're making. I do see the progress with our equipment, the morale, which are important too, you know. So, and I'm really excited, of course, I told you about your cadet program, because that's something that I had been wanting to do for a long time. And I'm not going to take credit for it, because you did it all by yourself, and I'm glad you did it, because I don't
Yes,
take
you
credit for
did.
stuff like that. You did it all on your own, and I appreciate you bringing it forward. I really do, and I think it's going to be good for us. And the The other question, the only question I have, which I don't know if I asked you that day, but is it FTO? I'm saying it right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
How long does an officer work with the FTO? Have to be there?
Well, a good example is the two that we have now that are certified that we hired.
Mhm.
The one guy that we hired from Val Furious,
Mhm.
he might be there a month, maybe 6 weeks,
Okay.
unless we made a bad hire, and, but that doesn't appear to be the case. The one that just got out of the academy, he will probably take the full 3 months. Now, sometimes you get people that, they could have worked as a jailer and may have had some prior sheriff's experience or something that allows them to get through it. But, it's a phased process, and at the end of 3 months, I have extended people's training time, like if it's something relatively minor that they're not getting, we'll say, sure, we're going to give them some more remedial training because, it's like we've got a lot invested in these people at this point, so we don't want to get rid of them unless they just can't do the job.
Okay.
So 3 months is,
Yeah. And my point for
average.
this question, and to bring this up, Council, is that it's a process. When you have these officers, under the wing of this FTO, we want to make sure that they're learn what they need to learn and do what they need to do, because right now they're working together with them. They can't be on their own. They can't be out on the street by themselves and add another car, another eye on the road. They have to work together for a little while. So it's a process. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you.
I would just like to say thank you for all your hard work. I agree with everybody who spoke tonight. Frustrations on the timing is a big one for me because, as they say, ignorance is bliss. For me, it's not. I know we have big problems in this town in regards to drugs, and I feel like that should be priority. And so the patience or lack of patience that I'm hearing from Mr. Burke and Mr. Molina is that, because we do get the word on the streets, so to speak. Mr. Molina and I are hometown bred, so we know all kind of people, and we know what's being said, and it kind of, I speak for myself, that it embarrasses me at times. But to ignore that we have problems is stupid. We do have problems. I love that you came up with this cadet program. It's great, and I love the attention to background checks, because that was a problem, a huge problem for our department, and I'm glad you're paying attention to that. Now on the cadets, I think it's a great program. Sadly, I wish we could already have boots on the ground, but I get this part too. What is their commitment to us, Chief, as far as, okay, so they come in, they finish the program. Do they have a year commitment, a 2-year commitment? Because it's an investment in these ladies and gentlemen.
We have them sign a 2-year
2-year?
agreement.
Okay. And if they do not stay, they get sued, or?
Well, they'll have to reimburse us for the cost of the academy, if I
Okay.
recall correctly.
Okay.
It's not a super huge amount, but,
No.
it is kind of, if you were to go somewhere else and they would know that someone doing a good background check
Yeah.
would say, what about this person? We'd say, no, not eligible for rehire. They broke their contract.
Right.
Good luck with them.
Yeah.
So, that's more of it's more of a paper incentive than it really is a cost recovery
Yeah.
issue.
Okay, well, great job. Keep on trucking. I know your boots are mud-filled, and I appreciate you sticking through with us.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, Chief. Thank you.
Chief.
Okay, agenda item 25, Mr. Esparza. The council may enter into closed executive session to discuss.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd ask that we table items 25 and 26. I was expecting, there's some, two businesses in particular that have made contact, and they have made contact again, but I just wanted to have this just in case. They did make contact to have something for you guys, but they haven't yet, so it'll
Right.
get pushed to the next meeting more than likely. So
Yes,
I'd
sir.
ask that you table
Okay.
25 and 26.
Motion to table, council?
Motion to table item 25.
And
Second.
26.
Do them together or separate?
Oh.
Motion to table items 25 and 26,
Thank you.
as per request.
Seconded by
Second.
Ms. Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Agenda item 25 and 26 tabled. Agenda item 27, delivery of updated grant report, and it's in our packet. Council, any questions on the grant report? Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Mr. Molina?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
And Mr.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Agenda item 28, adjourn and or consider and act upon adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Crisp. This meeting is now adjourned. The time is 6:54 PM. Thank you, everybody here and everybody watching, city staff. Thank you for all the hard work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need signatures from everybody
Yes, ma'am.
today.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.